Hi again. So we are going to take this to a new level here. We're going to make this a little bit harder. So first of all, name the angle relationship and find the value of x. So angle relationship means, are they vertical angles? Are they a linear pair? Are they complementary? So you want to use that vocabulary to figure out the angle relationship. Okay, anytime you have a bunch of intersecting lines and angle measures, generally you want to look to see if you have vertical angles. The easiest way to find that is if you try to highlight just two lines. So vertical angles are always formed by just two lines. So these two guys would be vertical angles. So the angle relationship would be vertical angles. Okay, and for vertical angles, we know that vertical angles have equal measures. So pause and try to set up an equation to solve for x. Okay, welcome back. So you're going to set up that 2 plus 3x is equal to 62. Okay, again, these are congruent angles, or in other words, you set them equal to each other. Solving, you get 3x equals 60, divide by 3, and we get x equals 20. Okay, the geometry portion of this question obviously is naming the angle pair or angle relationship and then using that to set up an equation. After that, it's all algebra. Okay, next one. So things to notice in this question are for sure that this is a 90-degree angle. I would highly recommend that you always write in 90 degrees whenever you see the square box in the corner. Okay, and then the other cool thing is with this particular picture, that would mean that this angle is also 90. Okay, because this is a straight line here, so this is all going to add up to 180. Okay, so if these two add up to 90, pause for a second and come up with the angle relationship or angle pair. Okay, welcome back. Those are going to be complementary. So these are complementary angles. Okay, and as we know, complementary angles add up to 90 degrees. So I take these two angles, add them together, equal to 90. Okay, pause for a second and solve the equation. Okay, welcome back. You're going to have 42 plus 6x equals 90. Okay, subtract 42. And I get 6x is equal to, what is that, 48. You could use a calculator, but I think it's 48. And then divide by 6, and x equals 8. Okay, so those are some warm-up questions to get you ready for some harder ones down here. So first of all, there are some steps that you generally want to take for all of these types of problems. So let's just write down a couple of things. Okay, first of all, you always want to label the picture. Okay, what that means is I'm going to take whatever information I am given and I'm going to write it in the picture. It's really important in geometry. It's very visual, so you need to have your given information labeled in the picture. So this is 10x minus 2, and then angle 2 is 5x plus 2. Okay, good. Step 2, you're going to identify the angle relationship. Because that is going to help you set up your equation. So in this particular case, these two angles are next to each other or adjacent. they also form a line. So if you look in your notes, if they form a line and are adjacent, these are going to be a linear pair. Okay, so these are a linear pair. And what we know about a linear pair is that they add up to 180. So step 3, now that you've identified the angle relationship, is you set up the equation. Sorry, set up the equation. Okay, so the angle relationship is that. And then over here, we'll set up the equation. Okay, so in this particular case, linear pair add up to 180. So that means you take these guys, add them, equals 180. So I have 10x minus 2 plus 5x plus 2 equals 180. Okay, and then of course your fourth step is to solve for x. Okay, so we're going to do that here. I don't know why the pen isn't working. Let's just try it over here. So I have 10x and 5x, which is 15x. And then I have negative 2 and positive 2 actually are going to cancel. So I get 15x equals 180. And then divide by 15. And I get x is equal to 12, I believe. You can check my math. Okay, so that was solve for x. Last thing, and this is an important piece of information, you want to make sure that you've answered the question. So you need to find x, but then you got to go back and read the question and make sure you've answered the question. Okay, so let's reread the question. It says solve for x. Then it says label all the angles in the diagram. So last thing we have to do here is we need to label the angles in the diagram. We're going to do that by plugging into the picture. So if I plug in a 12 here, I get 10 times 12, which is 120, and then minus 2, so that's 118 degrees. Okay, here you can use the calculator. 5 times 12 is 60, plus the 2 is 62 degrees. Okay, so that would be the last step, that you label the picture. We would also know that this angle is 118 and that this angle is 62. Okay, another good thing to do is just double check. Do these add up to 180? And they do. So we are all set. That checks out. So for all of these problems, you want to think about these 5 steps. Okay, I am not going to go through all 5 steps with you. I'm going to give you some hints, maybe some starters, and that's about it. And then you'll work on this with your groups. So on this one, first step, we're going to label the picture. So pause and label the picture. Okay, welcome back. So you should have AOB is x squared, COD is here is 5x plus 24. Okay, I will give you a hint. This question is just like our first warm-up. So that's the only hint I'm going to give you. Number 3, RT bisects. Big word right there. That's a key word. Bisects angle QRS. So remember, our first step is to label the picture or mark the picture. And so this is something you can mark in the picture. RT bisects means it creates 2 congruent angles. So in the picture, I'm going to mark that these angles are the same by putting the same arc in the angle. Okay, then I'm going to continue on. So the measure of angle QRT, so QRT is 15x minus 2. So let's write that in there. Okay, good. And then QRS. So So this one's a little harder to mark. But QRS is the whole angle. So this question's a little bit harder, but QRS is that whole angle. So I know the whole angle is 27x plus 5. Okay, find the value of x and the measure of QRS. So I'm actually going to go through the setup for you on this one. So what's the angle relationship? You have an angle bisector. So therefore we know these two angles are the same. So what I'm going to do is additionally, I'm going to label this angle the same as that original smaller angle. They're both 15x minus 2. So this is one of those harder questions where you don't actually just set them equal to each other. You have to add the two smaller ones to equal the big one. So that makes this question a little bit harder. So we have 15x minus 2 plus 15x minus 2 equals 27x plus 5. And I'm going to let you finish that on your own. Okay, on the back side. So here's another bisects. So label and use that information. There is another crisscross. Here is another adjacent angles forming a line. And then the last question here is actually pretty difficult. So if you want to challenge yourself and try it, you can. I will give you a big hint. The key to this question is knowing that these two angles are congruent. So give it a try if you want to, but this is definitely an alien level question. That one's a little bit harder. Okay, see you soon.